the committee is also considering bringing in another change. Specifically, this one is related to the challenge call. So it's interesting because these two are kind of actually related, because you suggested that the other team challenge it if they suspected a flop call or a flop being committed, but they're considering giving a team a second challenge during a game if the first one is successful. And I've campaigned for this. I'm sure if you listen to a broadcast on any national platform, they'll say this. Like, why don't you get another one if the first one is successful? Because basically, like, using a challenge before the fourth quarter to me is a waste, because what do you gain unless the Stars in foul trouble if you use a challenge in the first quarter? But now, if you use a challenge and it's successful in the first quarter, you still have one in your back pocket for the critical part of the game in the last 5 minutes, to where there's a call that can literally like determine the game. So I do like rewarding teams for getting it right, not just giving them one and saying like you lost it even though you got it right. But again, the main concern is like, how much does this slow down the game? If there's a second challenge, let's say each team wins their first and they both get a second, that in conjunction with the flopping calls, like, is it too much? That's my main concern. But I guess Summer League might shed some more light on this. We'll have to see it in live action before we really kind of get too serious.
Well, I completely agree. If you challenge it and get it right because the ref got it wrong, then you should retain your challenge. That's clear. It's absolute common sense. I would rather that extend the game and remove more the abilities of the refs to do self-reviews on their own that slow down the game. I'd rather have the coaches' options to, expand the coaches' options to challenge and restrict the refs' ability to just do it on their own, because those are the ones that seem to just constantly, because then it brings in the strategy. It's still limited. Whereas when the ref does it, it's just like, oh yeah, let's look at this one. Oh yeah, let's look at this one. Okay, let's look at this one. And it slows it down like crazy. Whereas with the coaches, it's still limited. It's still only one. If you lose it, it's gone. So I completely agree with the rule change.
Both of them are going to be interesting, because I don't think they've made a final call on this. All I've seen is that we get to Summer League and they're going to test it, which, I mean, Summer League, I mean, I'm just campaigning for it right now, but that's another thing about Summer League that's so great, is it's a good testing ground for these rules.
Right.
So they can look and see, does it make sense? Does it work? If it doesn't work in Summer League, it's not going to work in the real games, the big games. So that's a great thing about it. There's a place to where these can be kind of thrown in and they can see how it works. And if the game is too long, there's too many stoppages, maybe they pull one back and shelve it for another season, or they pull both out or something like that. So at least they have that option, and they don't have to test it during the season where the stakes are higher and there's a lot more at stake, in those games. So I do like that aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.